Hello, everyone. Welcome live to 3Y TV and tonight's broadcast of the American Sim Racing Series Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. It is race number one of the Sim Speed Shop Wheelman Showdown right here, Atlanta 200 here tonight. I'm Peter Short. Joining me in the booth here tonight is Greg Rentz. And Greg, Atlanta Motor Speedway, one of the oldest racing surfaces that we find on the iRacing circuit. It's going to be high, wide, and handsome and pretty slippery tonight.
I love this racetrack, Peter. This is one of my favorite racetracks on the circuit because of the old, abrasive cheese grater that is the surface of Atlanta. This place is going to eat the tires alive. Normally, in Atlanta, no matter what you do, whether it's a 5-lap green flag run or a 55-lap green flag run, you get a chance, you want 4 tires on the car as much as possible, and that is really going to play a factor in this 130-lap race tonight. I cannot wait to watch how these guys or handle this very, very abrasive track surface tonight.
Yeah, and of course, iRacing has recently made some changes to the Atlanta Motor Speedway that I'm really excited to see here tonight in action in the Sim Speed Shop Wheelman Showdown. We're expecting to see a lot more grooves in action here tonight from what we have seen over the past races at the Atlanta Motor Speedway here on 3Y TV. It should be an absolute dandy of a race. But folks, if you're just now catching up with us here in the American Sim Racing Series Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series, well, it has been an interesting season. I will tell you what, of course, you got Greg Evans so far this year, Greg, with 3 wins to his name. I'll tell you what, he has been lightning quick, but we've had to keep our eyes on Scott Eckrich. Scott has won 2 of the first 5 races here this season, and could we be shaping up for another Evans versus Eckrich battle tonight?
I gotta say, I've been very, very impressed with Scott Eckrich here so far this season, Peter. He has been very, very strong so far. Like you mentioned, 2 wins in the first 5 races to counteract with the defending champion Greg Evans 3. Greg Evans picking up, of course, right where he left off last season. But this racetrack, along with this stack of a field like we see every week in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series, any time we can see a breakthrough driver. I mean, we know the guys like the Will Worcester stable, Tyler Seville. You know he's going to be strong on the 1.5 mile. AJ Digby has shown a lot of speed in the past. You've got the Yenish brothers who have shown a lot of speed in their rookie season as well. Adam Jersky has really come into his own here in the last season and a half, I guess you could say. From about the second half of the season on last year into this season, he's had a lot of speed. You've got so many guys who can show up and really be there at any stage and really are going to be able to put on a show as we get set to qualify. I'm excited to see what happens at Atlanta tonight as qualifying is underway here in Hotlanta.
Yeah, of course, we'll see those cars go out here for their qualifying lap times here shortly. And I got to say, it is going to be really interesting to see who picks up the Midwest Simulations Pole Award here tonight. This racetrack was notorious for having some qualifying situations where you want to qualify up front because of how slippery the racetrack was. However, it seems like with these new iRacing updates and some of the races that we have seen over the past week or so in iRacing, it has been really, really cool watching these cars race out there.
As you see qualifying breaking out as we watch our first few cars hit the racetrack, Peter, they are going to be slipping and sliding on this old abrasive track surface, 113-degree track temperature here in qualifying. These guys are really, really going to be slipping and sliding as you watch Troy Haight go out to try to set the bar early.
Yeah, that is true. You see that number 28 machine, Troy Haight, working his way through turn number 1 and 2, trying to get all the way down there to that white line down there on the bottom of the racetrack. There's Doug Mullins in the number 18 machine. He was in the chat a little while ago. We want to thank each and every one of you for joining here tonight for race number 1 of the Sim Speed Shop Wheelman Showdown. It should be a fantastic race. Make sure you go check out Sim Speed Shop. They have some really awesome products. Everything from steering wheels to button boxes to dashes for all your fancy wheels. They got the speed pods similar to what we saw this out of the Sam Maxwell Custom stable a year or so ago. They got brake bias knobs, quick releases, just super, super, super cool stuff on the Sim Speed Shop website. If you're in the sim racing community, you'll definitely want to spruce up your sim rig with some of their stuff. And of course, Greg, the prize for winning the Sim Speed Shop Wheel and Showdown is actually 2 custom steering wheels that Sam Maxwell has customized, and they look really, really cool. And I know that these drivers are really gunning to try and win the championship within a championship because, folks, if you don't know about the Sim Speed Shop Wheelman Showdown, it is a kind of a championship within a championship, Greg.
And it really was fun to watch last season, Peter, as it looked like Tyler Seville was going to check out with that last year in that Wheelman Showdown. Of course, last year it was under a different sponsor. We're so happy to have our new partners on board this year. But remember, it looked like Tyler Seville was checking out, but then out of nowhere for the last couple races of the Showdown, Greg Evans came out of nowhere. And all of a sudden, heading into the final race, which was the penultimate race, it was awesome to watch those two battle it out. And Greg Evans getting the win in that last year, off to a good start this year. We'll see if he can back it up. And the question is, though, Peter, if he gets that second consecutive Wheelman Showdown win, does he take the wheel or does he stick with the one that he got this year?
I don't know. We'll have to find out. It's a long way to the end of the season when the Sim Speed Shop Wheelman Showdown champion will be crowned. We're watching one driver who made the Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series playoffs last year. That's the number 69, Adam Jersky in the Beef Jersky's Cheesecake Machine. Just found out that he's going to the Bristol Dirt Race this weekend. So if you're going to the Bristol Dirt Race, make sure you go check out Adam Jersky because we're hearing that he might have some cheesecake at the racetrack with him. And you're going to want a slice of that as that number 69 mobile goes across the start finish line, dives off into turn number 1. He's running right up there against the wall. Those of you in the chat who remember the NASCAR Racing 2003 season days, that's what we used to call the BR line because this racetrack right here, Atlanta BR, I'll tell you what, that particular version of this racetrack, you want it to be exactly where that number 69 machine is, right up against the wall to get your way around the racetrack. We also got the number 19, Cody Spiker working his way out to the racetrack right now. He's going to try and put a lap time in, get his number 19 Chevrolet wound up. There he is. But currently, it is Johnny Avila in the number 63 machine, currently sitting atop the board. Correct, a little bit of a new face atop the board, and also Rhett McBride running there in second. So a couple of new faces here to the Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series, currently on the provisional front row.
But both of them members of very quick teams here in the ASRS as qualifying has wrapped up. We're into our new to 2021 5-minute warm-up period. Johnny Avila and at number 63, he is the third entry of the Yenish Bros Racing of Steve Yenish and I'm sorry, I'm drawing an absolute blank on the other Yenish brother, but he's the third driver of that one. Jeff Yenish, yes, that is correct. He's the third member of that one as I finally am able to check back in my mindset. Rhett McBride is teammates with Greg Evans, so definitely two guys with some speed in their race teams as we've seen so far this season. Good to see him on the front row. And how about Scott Eckridge up in third as well? 2 wins on the year already. No doubt he is going to be putting on a show tonight as well as he looks for back-to-back wins. And Peter, for a Series 5 races in that's only had 2 wins, you wouldn't think it with the competitiveness that we've seen in this series so far.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could be looking at Will Warser racing, Tyler Seville having a win. I mean, it's kind of surprising Seville doesn't have a win. Will Warser was knocking on the door a couple weeks ago. We got some really fast drivers. We've seen Jordan Harnish turn around, have not the best season last year here in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series, but we've seen that number 27 be pretty darn quick this year. He's had some pit strategy go against him, but he's inside the top 10 after the Midwest Simulations Pole Award shootout, which did go to the number 63 of Avila. Pretty cool to see him on the pole, picking up his first pole of the season here in 2021. But looking up and down the scoring pylon at your qualifying results, your points leader, Greg Evans, the number 2 machine, all the way back in 33rd here tonight, Greg. It's going to be exciting to see that number 2 machine work his way up through the field. I'm sure he will. Hopefully he can get some long green flag running, but some interesting faces on the scoring pylon on the left side of your screen.
That tells me something happened to Greg Evans on qualifying because he normally does not have that deep of a starting position. So, like you just mentioned, that is going to be a lot, and I mean a lot of fun to watch Greg Evans try to charge his way through the field from the 33rd starting spot. 3 wins on the year. He's got double that on his starting position, 33 tonight. Greg Evans in the 2, definitely going to be looking for a charge to the front. There he is, your defending Hacksaw PC's Premier Series champion, who will start in the 33rd position. There's, of course, Jordan Harnish, who we talked about just a moment ago. Another couple drivers I'm kind of surprised to see starting in the back include Jeff Yenish in the number 89. He's going to start 29th. Tyler Seville, you mentioned him. He's starting 26th alongside his Will Worcester Racing teammate Doug Mullins. So a lot of heavy hitters struggling in qualifying here, Peter. They're going to have to make their way up through the fields. You take a look now at those qualifying results, kind of some surprises, both in the front and near the back.
Yeah, really the top 3 drivers were inside the 30.2 second bracket. Corey Silva there, a great qualifier here in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series there in 4th. Steve Yenish, a good run there in 5th. But notice kind of the fall off towards the back half of the top 20 or so. You got Will Worcester back there starting 18th in his Will Worcester Racing Machine, 3/10 off the pace of Avila there in the number 63 mobile. So it's going to be a long race. I'm really excited to see. I'm watching some of these drivers out here in. You got one driver up there at the top of your screen. Not sure who that was, but I was just about to say, Greg, that we're seeing some of these drivers really struggle with the grip out there getting loose. In fact, that car that just smacked the wall was Adam Littell in his number 7 Rowdy Energy Chevrolet. We got more cars going around out of turn number 4. So these cars are going to be a handful. Atlanta Motor Speedway might have a few more grooves than what we've seen in the past here tonight, Greg. However, it's still going to be pretty slippery out there.
Yeah, definitely going to be slipping and sliding, and I'm very, very curious to watch because this is a short race compared to what we're used to seeing here for the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series. Peter, it's only 130 laps tonight. For what the series usually does, especially a mile and a half, that is a sprint for these guys. These guys are going to be up on the wheel a little bit more than we are used to seeing them because this race is significantly shorter than what we're used to seeing in this series. We're used to seeing them up in the high 160s. A small race would be 134. This one even a little bit shorter than that, 130 laps tonight. Definitely going to be interesting for sure to watch how this little bit of a shorter race distance matches up for some of these guys.
Yeah, it technically is the Sim Speed Shop Wheelman Showdown 195 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, but we'll see if those 5 miles at the end of the race do matter as the checkered flag has fallen here on the warm-up session. It has been an interesting warm-up session as these drivers get their final lap times in before we go down to pick up tonight's starting lineup, figure out who's going to start on that Midwest Simulations poll here tonight in the American Sim Racing Series Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series. Folks, make sure you check out our friends over at Hacksaw PCs because they make a quality product, a fantastic build here. And I really love my Hacksaw PC, so make sure you check them out. Meanwhile, cars out there gridding here right in front of the flagman as Johnny Avila in the number 63 machine will be starting on the pole here tonight alongside the number 15 of Rhett McBride. Great qualifying time for them. Scott Eckrich in the number 70. The winner last time out dominated that race, Greg, at Phoenix last week. He'll be starting in 3rd. Corey Silva also been very quick here over the last couple of weeks in 4th. Steve Yenish, Danny Gutierrez. Gutierrez coming in tonight on the bubble in the top 20 in points, trying to make sure he's locked into the show next week by staying inside the top 20 in points. Brian Yazik, Jordan Harnish on row number 4. Evan Black, Woody Mahan round out your top 10 there, Greg.
Going to find Jonathan Cadell in the number 96, rolling off in 11th. Thomas George to his outside. Keep your eyes on Twitter verified AJ Digby in the 13th position. Michael Krobach for Loud Pedal rolls off 14th. Grant Brown, always a fun guy to watch in 15th. The Beef Jerski's Cheesecake. Adam Jersky, number 69 in 16th. Jimmy McKee and Will Worcester making up row number 9 with Tim Knott and Troy Haight rounding out the top 20 as we're on our one and only pace lap.
Nick Curling, John Eckhart on row number 11. Michael Whiting, Mark Cohn on row number 12. Doug Mullins, Tyler Seville, row number 13. Jason Stewart, always a gambler, starting from 27th. Alan Young alongside him 28th. Jeff Yenish 29th and 30th. And I'll just take you through the rest of the field here tonight. Gary Reynolds Jr., Nick Gardner in 32nd. Current points leader Greg Evans in 33rd. Adam Littell 34th. Kevin Stone, Richard Fletcher, row number 18. Michael Larch, Cody Spiker, Jackson Van Volkenberg, Mark Myers, Todd Kirkwood round out the field. Excuse me, Todd Kirkwood right there at the back. No time for him. So we will have 40 starters, just making sure that looks like Jackson Van Volkenberg will be the one driver who does not start here tonight in that number 12 machine. But we do have 40 cars out there as the pace truck heads down pit road. Green flag in the flagman's hand, and we are about to go racing in the Sim Speed Shop Wheelman Showdown Atlanta 200. 200 miles from now, we'll figure out who's the winner. Everyone gets going nice and cleanly.
63 of Avila getting off to a nice start there in the number 63. Remember, the teammate to the Yenish brothers, Steve and Jeff. Johnny will be able to break, though, but look out behind him, Peter, because Scott Eckridge right on his tail, looking for back-to-back victories. Eckridge looking down low, but as you see, a lot of these guys running what you call the BR line up at the wall. They all make their way down to the bottom here for this one, but I'm expecting to see them try to make their way up to the top as this race progresses.
And we got one car, Tim Knott, the gunskins.com number 41 machine. He might have had a little bit of a hiccup coming out of turn number 4, but he gets it gathered back up. He's currently being scored down around the 21st position. We got a lot of side-by-side going on through the field. We'll see if we can catch this here on the 3-wide TV replay. Here we go, going through the corner. And I just think he might have got a little bit loose. Yeah, you could see that back end start to come around on him. Great save there by Tim Knott to keep that gunskins.com machine going in the right direction. We'll see how he's able to recover from that here in the meantime. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, Johnny Avila just put Richard Fletcher one lap down. Richard started from pit road, and that number 43 machine just doesn't seem to be on the pace here tonight, Greg. He's going 175 miles an hour, about 10 miles an hour already off the pace, and he's kind of staying up and out of the way of the main pack. Not sure what's up with Fletcher's Will Warser racing machine, but might be running on 7 cylinders at this point.
Around, seeing if maybe he's got some damage on the number 43. May have caught the wall trying to get back up on the track, but not seeing any visible damage as you watch this battle for the lead continue. Ooh, some connection issues now also beginning to plague the 43 of Fletcher. So definitely not what Richard Fletcher wanted to start this off, as they kind of settle in single file. But like we were talking about, they're slowly making their way up to the high line. You see the leaders fall down, though, of Avila and the 70 of Eckridge, as you see the rest of them trying to settle in behind them, led by McBride in the 3rd spot. Corey Silva in the 94. Steve Yenish, the teammate to race leader Avila, in 5th. There is Yenish running around in 5th. Jordan Harnish right behind him. And Peter, we talked about him in the pre-race. What a fantastic start to the year for Jordan Harnish. Hasn't gotten that victory yet, but he has been very, very competitive here in the early stages.
Yeah, and there's already some early race communications from race control trying to get some stuff sorted out near the back of the pack. There's a lot of side-by-side racing back around the 30th position or so, but so far clean and green, and that has been something that we've seen quite a bit this season in the American Sim Racing Series, Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series. A lot of green flag running, not a lot of cautions. Of course, last week at Phoenix, we saw a good number, but where we have been at tracks like Daytona and Homestead, Miami, not a lot of yellow flags. It's been really great to see these races kind of naturally play out. It's been a lot of fun here to watch on 3-wide TV.
Gotta love these long green flag runs. We got a battle for the lead. Avila led the lap, but Scott Eckridge in the number 70 took the best shot anyone's had so far. Got the nose in front, going off into turn number 1, but Avila using that high line to be able to fend him off as the side-by-side battle breaks out for 3rd. Behind him, Corey Silva. You can see that in the outside the back bumper of Avila. Eckridge takes another peek down. He's going to fall in line now once again. McBride, Silva continue the battle for the 3rd spot. Give it to Silva for now. Jordan Harnish, meanwhile, has gotten around Steve Yenish. He has cracked the top 5 in that Loud Pedal Motorsports 27. As you see Eckridge again taking a peek, as you see some battles a little bit deeper in the field, watching Yenish and Brian Yazik battle it out. Danny Gutierrez lurking in there as well, waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, I'm just looking up and down kind of the positions gained at this point in the race. Cody Spiker, your biggest mover. Will Worsler, Tyler Seville, Alan Young, Greg Evans, all kind of picking up anywhere between 6 to 5 to 4 spots, and kind of in that range. So we do already have some comers and goers. But Scott Eckrich once again on the inside of Avila, just not able to make that pass stick once again. They go back single file here down the backstretch. I'm really keeping my eyes on the number 15 machine of Rhett McBride. Great qualifying run and a really fast-looking number 15 machine. We ride on board here with the number 70 of Eckrich. And I'm just kind of keeping my eyes on this battle up here at the front of the field, because Corey Silva, the number 94 machine, he's shown here at these 1.5 miles that he knows how to get around them once or twice here on 3 Wide TV here in the American Sim Racing Series Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series. Very, very quick each and every week, and he's kind of running down Eckrich right now, getting really tight there on entry into turn number 3. Might have had to check up in the Jerky Lodge Chevrolet, but he's one of those drivers. I gotta say, he's kind of a sleeper. He's one of those drivers. He hasn't quite had the finishes, Greg, I think that he's been worthy of in the first few races, but quietly is up there in the point standings.
Been a nice return to the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series for Corey Silva after a year hiatus last year. Checking in with defending champion Greg Evans. He is up 5 spots now from the 33rd starting spot to the 28th position. He just got around the Pink Panther of Mark Cohn and is now trying to set his sights on Tim Knott, who had the issues on the initial start but seems to have settled down into number 41. As you see Evans taking a peek to the inside. Knott, though, doing a nice job on defense as he lurks on Michael Whiting as well, this deep in the field for 27th on the board right now.
Yeah, there's some awesome racing going on. We'll see if we can get one of like a static camera or something in one of these corners here, just because these drivers are running so many different lines. And speaking of different lines, we were almost 4 wide on entry into turn number 3. Oh my goodness, Jordan Harnish in the 27 machine almost split in the middle with Danny Gutierrez. As you see all those different lines that these drivers are running, but wow, almost 4 wide here on 3 Wide TV. Working lap number 12, now 13. That was a pretty big moment as they were able to sort things out. Cooler heads prevail at this point of the race, I do believe there, Greg.
Awesome camera work as well from my great friends in the production booth. As you see this battle going on screen right now. This is for 5th right now on back, as the battle between Yazik and McBride is on screen right now for the 5th position. Give it to McBride that time by, but Brian Yazik, 2-time winner last year, including the All-Star race. He is battling it out right now, trying to climb up. And Brian Yazik was so strong in the playoffs last year, Peter, in that number 55. And he had such a strong playoffs. It was a heartbreak for him to not make it to the Final Four the way his playoffs were last year. No doubt looking for some redemption here this season. Battling it out with 5th right now for Rhett McBride. But Yazik, with his teammate Harnish right behind him, definitely looking strong here in the early stages.
Yeah, of course, Yazik was able to get to victory lane a couple times last season in that number 55 machine. I know one of those races, I believe, was at Kentucky, and then he also rounded out the season with the All-Star race win at the Nashville Fairgrounds. So we know that the HPPsimulation.com Ford is capable of getting to victory lane. It's just a matter of when, and he is still side by side with that number 15 machine. Your top 4 have actually scooted away of Avila, Eckrich, Silva, Yenish, and then it's a couple seconds back to where Rhett McBride is still trying to hold off the HPPsimulation.com Ford, and then look right behind him. That's Jordan Harnish in that bright yellow Cheesecake Emporium machine. Woody Mahan also having a really good run so far in that number 84 machine. Right behind him, Danny Gutierrez and Thomas George currently rounding out your top 10. But this is a great battle watching here on your screen here on 3 Wide TV.
This is my first time seeing this look for the 84 of Mahan as you go on board with Harnish, looking back at that 84. This is my first time seeing it. Did he debut this last week, or is this a brand new look for Woody Mahan in that number 84? I like this new look.
Yeah, I honestly can't say I have seen that look on that number 84 machine this season. Now, Woody, don't get on me if I'm not that observant, or if it was one of the races that I wasn't able to broadcast. But that is one hot-looking ride, I have to say. There are some stellar rides in this field. That Alliance RV machine, just one of them. I mean, just look up and down this this field very colorful race cars. You see all the drivers using those spec maps like the number 15 machine that you see up there of Rhett McBride, kind of having that matte black look. In fact, there's a little bit of damage on the right side of that number 15 machine. As I get a closer look at it. Oh, Will Warsler, the 29 machine, a little bit further back. He must have just had a moment. He just got split 3 wide down the backstretch by Jimmy McKee and Jonathan Cadell. Of course, Jonathan Cadell, excuse me, of Steel Horse Live on Twitch. We'll see if we can figure out what happened here to Will Warsler coming off the corner, racing with Michael Krobot. Looks like he just got tight, had to get out of the gas, and lost all that momentum. There goes Cadell, there goes McKee, finally able to slot in line right in front of the number 69 Beef Jerseys Cheesecakes machine, and he just had another big moment there. Greg, I heard you say, oh, I think he just caught the wall there, and
right
making matters worse.
Yeah, he caught the wall on turn 2 exit. And by the way, Warsler, before this happened, he was plus 6 spots. He had started 18th. He had climbed up in the 12th, was battling, as you saw, with Evan Black for the 11th spot, knocking on the door of the top 10, and then a couple different moments here, and he has significant damage on the right front of that number 29 car, and I'm worried about that because that's the thing with this aero package is we got battle for the lead. We'll have to follow that up as Eckrich is to the inside of Avila, and for the first time all night, we have ourselves a real battle for the lead here. Eckrich, winner last week and 2 times this season. Can he break through and finally become the first driver not named Johnny Avila to lead the lap here? Not this time. Avila is going to win the drag race.
Yeah, that number 70, though, just biding his time. Going to dive it off here into turn number 1, trying to use that momentum to roll that car down to the bottom white line. Rolls the bottom, just not able to get on the power soon enough. Because there goes Avila in that number 63 machine, just powers on by him on the backstretch. But we have to keep an eye on this battle because this isn't the first time we've seen Eckrich try and go for the race lead. Avila's loose. Avila wiggles coming out of turn number 4. That's going to allow Eckrich once again to have a stab at the race lead. This time looking a little bit better. Is he going to clear him on entry? Not able to do so. That 63 holding tough around the high line here at Atlanta.
I was going to say, I think this is the shot for Eckrich, but Avila fights back on the outside, but he may have scrubbed the wall just a tad right there off of turn number 2 as you see them drag race off into turn number 1. Meanwhile, Corey Silva and Steve Yenish go in the battle behind them. 2 separate side-by-sides here going on for the race lead and for third right now. Drag race to the line, but that outside line, once again, looking very, very strong as we've seen a couple finishes just like that at Atlanta here in the past. Of course, Dale Earnhardt, Bobby Labonte, and you can't remember Kevin Harvick's the emotional first career victory for Kevin Harvick here at Atlanta in 2001. Back-to-back photo finishes. We've seen some crazy ones here at Atlanta, and they look not unlike what we've seen out of these two crossing the line the last couple of times you go on board with Eckrich.
And don't forget that win that Carl Edwards had on Jimmy Johnson here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. This racetrack, it seems a lot more racier than what we have seen in the past here on the iRacing service, and that is awesome to see. Eckrich just drives it off into turn number 1, trying to pull the slide job. Avila getting a little bit loose, letting the back end all hang out. I think the 70 kind of comes up the racetrack, takes the air off the nose, and for the first time here tonight, Scott Eckrich in the AMSOIL number 70 going to try and set sail here at the front of the field, but here comes Corey Silva, the number 94 machine. Remember, we were side by side for third a little bit ago with Silva and Yenish, but now Silva trying to get underneath the 63. We'll see if Silva can make the pass. Looks like Silva can pull in front. No, he can't. He's trying to, but not quite able to pull off the slide job because Avila got to his right rear quarter panel, and he's going to hang on to second for now.
That was 100% send by Silva, and he needed only about 95 to make it work. I think he went a little overboard there because he took a stab at second, and I thought for a moment, the way it was looking, he was going to be able to make a shot at the lead before he was done. And look at this. As a result of it, he falls to fourth as Yenish now to the inside of his teammate, Avila, in that number 63. One car on pit road, hearing it maybe Cody Spiker into number 19. Got a 3-wide TV replay to see what happened with Spiker. We stay green. And you see the number 19 Craftsman Tools, number 19 of Spiker. And Peter, that almost looked to me like that may have been an equipment failure. That may have been an equipment failure, something happening with the wheel or something, and he has loaded up on the trailer and called it a night.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can figure out what happened to him because, yeah, he just kind of shot right down into the inside wall and called it a night. in that number 19 machine. So that is not what Cody Spiker wanted. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, Steve Yenish has been able to get around Johnny Avila, as has Corey Silva. So the 23 machine now up to second, the 94 up to third. Your pole sitter here tonight, picking up that Midwest Simulations Pole Award in the number 63 machine, going to slide back to fourth now. So we'll keep our eyes on that as this race goes on.
Remember, something to think about, the tires may be shot on the 63 of Avila, and that's why he's falling to the back. You're on board right now with third place Corey Silva. Looking back at him, only 3 sets of tires on pit road for these guys, plus the 4 Goodyear Eagles that they started the race on. So 4 sets of tires here total, 16 tire race. And this is a very abrasive track surface. These tires do not hold up as well as they would on some other racetracks. So tire management definitely, I think, is beginning to rear its head for the first time here tonight, as you see some comers and goers really beginning to settle it down now, as this battle is still going between McBride and Yazik. We were talking about this maybe 10 laps ago, and it's still going on between them.
Yeah, absolutely. And some great racing here in the field. Greg, unfortunately, I've had something pop up, and I will have to step away here for just a brief moment. Hopefully, I'll be back here in just a minute. But if you can kind of take the folks here on 3 Wide TV through the field, we'll see how everything's shaking out right now at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Yes, sir, we can do that. Scott Eckrich leading the way right now in the number 72 wins on the year, including last week here at Phoenix. Now we're in Atlanta, the number 70, a rookie on the season, having a very, very solid run here thus far. Leading the way after taking his time to get up to the front. I believe it took about 22 laps for him to get to the front. Once he did, though, it's been smooth sailing, but he's beginning to feel just a little bit of a pressure from another rookie behind him. And we're talking, of course, about Steve Yenish in the number 23. We were introduced to Steve Yenish in that Car of Tomorrow race that we did at Homestead during the offseason for these guys last year. And he decided, you know what, I'm going to try my hand at the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series this year. And he has run very strong so far this season in the number 23. He hasn't broken through and gotten that win yet, but both him and his brother Jeff have been very strong contenders here in the early stages. Looking for them both to make victory lane before the end of it. And Steve Yenish up in second right now. It could be tonight. After taking a year off from the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series, focusing on the Grand National and a couple other special events in the ASRS, Corey Silva back in third place now, back in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series, and having a very solid outing here, not just today, but in the season thus far. It has been a great showing for Corey Silva in his return to the series. Here he is running in the third place, still looking for that first win since his return, but no doubt going to be a guy to watch, not just today, as this race unfolds, as we're inside the 100 laps to go. Less than a century grind left at Atlanta. Corey Silva running in third. The early race leader was this number 63 of Johnny Avila, the teammate to Steve and Jeff Yenish. He led about 22 laps in the early stages of this race before we believe the tires may be starting to go away on the number 63. Been very strong, though, through a majority of the race thus far. Was a new name to the series this weekend, and here he is having a nice showing up in the top 5. Well, it's still a battle going on between Rhett McBride in the 15 and Brian Yazik in the 55, settling in with McBride, teammate, of course, to Greg Evans for Steel Horse, and the defending champion is definitely showing that his teammates also have some speed. Talking, of course, right now about Rhett McBride, and with the fact that there's a little bit of damage on that number 15, it's even more impressive that he's been able to hold on to the top 5 here pretty much the entirety of this race, with the exception of the couple of times that Yazik has edged him out to the line. Started second, running in 5th. Nice run for Rhett McBride, looking for a big win here in what we believe may even be his debut. Brian Yazik, we talked about him, new father during the off season, and here he is running in the 6th position. Again, 2 wins on the year last year. The points paid win at Kentucky, which got him into the playoffs last year, and then, of course, the All-Star race last year. But Yazik was very, very strong all year long last year, especially the playoffs, and looking very strong at the start of this one here this year as well. Up very solidly in the top 10 here thus far. Has sniffed the top 5 a couple of times, but things settling down. Behind him, his teammate Jordan Harnish, and we talked about it earlier in the race. Outstanding start to the season for Jordan Harnish. Last year, you can consider it a disappointment for the number 27. Not this year. He has been very, very strong thus far in the number 27, kicking the season off in the new team, Lap Bell Motorsports. Still got Cheesecake on board. Definitely gonna love having some cheesecake. And don't worry, the cheesecake of the race is coming up here pretty quickly. We'll go through the top 10, and then maybe if Peter's not back, we'll be able to do some cheesecake of the race. Thomas George into number 88, another rookie here on the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series. Boy, what an outstanding performance by the rookies here thus far to start the year off. Eckridge, Yenish, Avila, McBride, George, the pole sitter at Daytona, just some of the drivers who have been doing a very, very solid job in their rookie outings. And it is so good to see some of these new names in the series, and a couple of them not here tonight either that have been very strong thus far as well. Some new names here in the top 10. Behind them, though, a stalwart of the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series. That, of course, is the 92 of Evan Black in the 92s. You continue to watch George, but lurking back there is that white, black, and purple number 92 of Evan Black. You can see him there lurking on the inside. Black, of course, up in the 9th position. You see him settling down. Kind of a disappointing year last year as well for Evan Black, but having a solid running out here. Started 9th. He stayed there, kind of seeing some comers and goers surround him, sitting in 9th position, putting pressure on Thomas George right now. About a second back to Jonathan Cadell in the number 96. Another guy rounding out the top 10 who's had kind of a quiet run thus far. Started 11th, in 10th right now. Quiet run, but has ran in the top 10 for much of the race. Very nice job, though, by Cadell to hang on here in the top 10. Solid run thus far. That's your top 10 as they stand right now.
All right, now,
Sounds
Greg,
like
here's the
Peter's
thing. Peter had to step out, so I'm going to be taking over in here for a little bit, maybe for the rest of the race, depending on what's going on. It's a little bit of an emergency. But, Greg, I believe we have something special to show, and it's what people have been demanding. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what tonight's cheesecake of the race is?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the cheesecake of the race. And, I'm a little bit salty that I haven't been able to do all the races here so far for the Hacksaw PC Premier Series. A little bit salty about that fact. So you know what? I'm back here, and I'm going to go ahead and, we're going to share some of that salt, because tonight's cheesecake, salted caramel cheesecake, the Greg Wrench cheesecake of the race. No, we are not doing math. We're doing cheesecake right now. Salted caramel cheesecake, this week's Greg Wrench cheesecake of the race. No, we're not doing math yet, Carlos, in the truck. We will get there later. We have a 141 2/3% chance of doing math later tonight, but it's cheesecake time right now.
Oh, man, you just had to sneak in that reference. It's always a classic. So, Greg, we have 41 laps in on this race, and pardon me if I'm sounding a little bit off. I got a little bit of a fever. Just got my second vaccine dose, and it's starting to show, which is expected. But what's not expected? People going down pit road, including Jonathan Holstein right now.
First round of green flag pit stops. You've been clean and green for 42 laps thus far. Jonathan Holstein bringing it down pit road. Now, Carlos, with the pit window now being open and the way this racetrack treats tires, aka not good, I think it's only going to be a couple laps before you start seeing everybody come down pit road. The pit road window is open, and these guys are going to be screaming for tires here before too long.
Oh yeah, we got Woody Mahan going down pit road right now. We got Jonathan Holstein left. I'm actually a little surprised we're not seeing too many people go down pit road. We did get some secret intel, and pardon me that I don't have it with me open right now. I didn't expect to hop on in and take over, but we were told the fuel's going to be around 60 to 63 laps. So now we're going to do some math, okay? 60 to 63 laps.
Now we're doing that.
Assuming let's just assume 60, okay? Let's assume 60 as we're also trying to see if there's any other battles going on nearby. Evan Black is catching up to Thomas George, but assuming it's 60 laps, in a 130 lap race, they'll be able to stop once. They'll have to stop 2 times to make it to 130. 63, it still won't be enough. I was told that some drivers may try to make it to lap 65, but that's going to be hard to do. And if they do make it to lap 65, then they'll be good because they'll be able to make 130. They'll just have to pit one time. But then the question is that something you even want to do? Something I know about Atlanta is if those tires even take a look at the track, at the asphalt, then then they're dead. Then you need new tires. Just if they even take a look, as we can
Pretty
put the
soon
math
they're
away.
gonna be. Yeah, thank you for that. And I don't want to do math. I did math in high school. Not a fan. Not impressed.
Not a fan.
Here's the thing, though. Like you said, not a fan.
Did it spell
of
disaster for you?
math? Yes, it very, very much did. The numbers did lie in that case. But here's the thing: if you see tires at Atlanta at the end, they almost begin to look kind of like. Did you see the picture of Kurt Busch's tires from the Nashville test earlier in the week? I think it was yesterday. As we see more cars beginning to come down pit road, they will look like those corded tires from Kurt Busch's ride at Nashville. By the way, who isn't excited about Nashville coming to the NASCAR track? Yes, it's not the fairgrounds, but it's still a 1.2 concrete mile or 1.2 mile concrete track.
Krobach! Oh, that's going to be a penalty.
Pit road violation right there is Krobach doing a little bit extra dirt tracking there than what
Oh,
we're
no!
used to. Oh, who else?
It's Troy Haight. Oh, man, we got a bunch of
28.
trouble now. That's some heavy damage. On the bright side, he doesn't have a penalty like Krobach does, but that's still some damage. Remember, these guys don't have a fast repair. It just seems like the numbers didn't really work for him, and I guess he forgot to add Kurt Angle to the mix because he overshot that entry to pit road.
Numbers did lie for these guys, and unfortunately, this is something we could kind of expect. We talked to AJ Digby before the race, and he said pit road entry very.
We're not supposed to disclose his name.
My bad.
Well, I guess cat's out of the bag. Our secret informer is none other than Greg Evans.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right, so we got more drivers going down pit road, and one of the things I did want to mention is, you know, you can probably try to get to lap 65 if there is no caution. And, you know, these guys have proved before that they can go full races without caution. They haven't been able to do it this year, but we've gotten a lot of close races. But I was doing a race the other day, and I was actually racing with none other than Tanner Sharp. So if any of you OG ASRS when 3 White TV started broadcasting the races, people remember Tanner Sharp. He used to commentate these races as well. Had a race with him. He was ahead of me. He went down pit road, and I didn't. I stayed out. I could have made it the rest of the way. With 2 laps to go, he was able to drive right by me. He unlapped himself and went by me again for the position. And that was a lot less laps than what these guys are probably going to be doing. So the question is, you're not going to... It's not even a question. You don't want to try to make it on one stop. You're going to want to go all the way. Sorry, you're going to want to pit as soon as you can. Who knows? This could be one of those tracks where breaking it up into 3 stints is going to be key.
I think you're going to want to break it up into 3 stints like that, as you mentioned, as you see more guys coming down pit road. Carlos, the numbers do not lie. Scott Eckert's qualified at a 30.298. His last 2 laps, he's coming down pit road, race leader coming down pit road, because he must have read my mind, because his last couple of laps were 33.3 second laps. 3 seconds of fall off from the green flag here. He's coming down lap 51, 50 laps on these tires. Now, is that 50 laps his way or 50 laps my way?
That's a different reference altogether. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and on the horizontal ticker, it's currently displaying the last lap that these drivers have run. On the vertical ticker, I'm gonna go ahead and switch it so that it's gonna show the best lap. So you guys compare it. You guys compare the numbers and see what they spell.
They spell
I'm already seeing well over 3 seconds. Yeah, well over 3 seconds for some of these guys that haven't pit yet.
Yeah, they spell disaster if you're still out on the racetrack. You're seeing it right there as Krobach and Mahan going to roar past new race leader Steve Yenish. Corey Silva in the 94 out there as well. He already came down pit road. You can definitely tell right now, Carlos, who has been on pit road and who hasn't.
Well, speaking of Maple Leaf Muscle, Johnny Avila has gone down pit road. So he currently dropped back, but he was the guy that we saw start the race on the pole, and he lost a couple spots, but he was one of the drivers that also pitted just a little bit early compared to some of the guys that are ahead of him. The only one who has Currently, the guy that everybody pits, who will get the race lead will be Corey Silva. Actually, Scott Eckridge just passed him, so never mind. But Johnny Avila, Maple Leaf Muscle, working his way back up to the front.
And he was so strong at the start of this race in that number 63 here, Carlos. So definitely been a very, very stout performance by that number 63. I'm kind of surprised, though, Steve Yenish, one of the few drivers left that has not come down pit road. Yenish, though, I believe he's going to be going. Yenish is going to be looking for the race lead right now. He's still leading the way in that number 23. One of the few drivers that has yet to come down pit road. If I'm looking at it correctly, I see maybe 11 cars that have yet to come down pit road in that number, or in this race here so far. Working lap number 56. Some of these guys might be trying that 2-stop, maybe even a 1-stop strategy. Yenish continues to lead the way. McBride, Yazik, George, Black, your top 5 right now. Yenish. Oh, Yenish with a little bit of a problem there. Into number 23. He's fighting. The leader's in trouble. He just got into Tim Knott. Steve Yenish just hit the 41 of Yenish.
Oh, no.
He broke very, very loose.
All right, I'm trying to see where this happened. Let's go back in time just a little bit and see if we can find out just what happened.
Coming off of turn number 4, this time by 3Y TV replay on screen right there. That was the tail end of it. We got to go back about 5 more seconds or so. Well, that'll work too. Yeah. Now watch Yenish here in the number 23. He's going to come
he gets loose.
Corner. There's Tim Knott lurking right there. Yeah, he broke loose right there, and he fought.
Oh, no.
And he's still fighting, and there's Tim Knott.
That's actually, it didn't seem that bad. We're gonna take a look and see if we can find Tim Knott. It's a 23, has gone down Pear Road. I'm trying to see where that number 41 is. I have to take off my contacts, so I'm having to watch all. Well, Tim Knott is currently 39th. He's a couple laps down. So yeah, we saw number 23 get some damage there. Tim Knott as well. Wasn't even really involved in those cases. You don't even know where the guys are gonna be when they lose control like that. It's kind of like a little bit of a death wobble.
Yeah, so Steve Yenish saying, you know what? Nope, that is enough for me, as he calls it down pit road. This gives the lead to Rhett McBride now in the number 15. Here's the Pink Panther 51. Mark Cohn goes by him. Rhett McBride leading the way.
Please.
In the number 15, trying to settle it down right now. Yasik's still in second. They still stay with each other on the racetrack. Neither driver has been down pit road, but the number of drivers who has been on pit road is getting higher and higher, leaving the drivers still out on the racetrack less and less. But I am very impressed with what Rhett McBride has been able to do in this number 15 car, especially with him having what we believe to be just a little bit of damage on that number 15 as Worsler tries to unlap himself to put himself back on the lead lap. That is 19th position, Will Worsler. McBride still staying out. Yazik in second, George, Black, and yeah, those 4 are the drivers that have yet to be on pit road.
Yeah, taking a look, seeing who else. There's actually more than 4 guys who have not gone down pit road. You mentioned McBride, Yazik, George, and Black, but we also have Jonathan Goodell, AJ Digby has stayed out, Jason Stewart, who, it's a strange thing that we're seeing these people stay out, but it's not strange to see Jason Stewart trying unique and oddball type of things. Michael Larch, and Yef Yenich has also not gone down pit road. Nick Gardiner just dropped on pit road right now, but he is going to more than likely lose a lap in this ordeal. I think all these guys that are staying out right now, they have to make it to lap 65. I really don't think this is a winning strategy, but they have to do it to lap 65 or get a caution before they go down. Otherwise, it's all over.
You know what could help this strategy, though, Carlos? What if about halfway through this run for them, they catch a caution? Everybody's coming down pit road. In that case, they will have to spend less time on pit road because they'll have more fuel in the car. So that could pay off a little bit if they can catch a caution.
I don't really think it's going to matter that much because
late
they're going
enough
to
in
take
the
4
run.
tires.
Oh yeah, they're taking 4 tires, true, but
Yeah, it's not like
so, yeah, I
like
guess
they're
you're right
taking
there.
like no tires or something like that. As we see, Rhett
Here comes
McBride,
McBride.
that's not going to be enough. Unfortunately, he may be a lap or 2 short. Lap 63 coming to 64. He's gonna run out with 2 to go. Yasik is still out there running strong. Thomas George, Evan Black, Cadell, and AJ Digby are current top 5. Let's go on board with Brian Yasik and see if he's turning off his engine or something. I wanna take a listen and see what's going on with him. He's not turning off the engine. I'm not hearing it turn off. So he may be a little confident. I mean, he's gonna make it to 65.
He's not coming this time either.
There he goes. If he pits next time by, he'll be good to go as long as he repeats the same thing.
Let's see if he can make it there. Here's the thing, though. There's a couple other drivers who also are able to fall into that as well. AJ Digby on pit road in the number 14, I believe, is what I just saw happen. No, I'm sorry. Jeff Yenish is on pit road.
Now, another new thing where we're trying to experiment with some new graphics is now we're going to be seeing Yaza go down pit road. He's slowing down. Same thing with Thomas George. All these guys waited enough. They've made it the distance, and now they're going to have to do it again and hope that they don't get a caution. But something new for today that we're trying out with a different graphics package is the F1 style interval ticker on the horizontal ticker there. So you're going to be seeing some of these times are going to be fluctuating a lot. Like you're going to be seeing somebody has 0.5, another person has 14, another person has 7. It doesn't make sense. That's the number you see is the seconds back they are from the person in front of them for position. So don't be alarmed. It's a European style tracking.
Evan Black coming down pit road. This is going to leave only Jason Stewart in the number 1. The Stew is the only driver who has yet to come down pit road. I believe I got a note that Peter Short is back in the tower with us. So Peter, pit stop's just about complete. Only Jason Stewart has left on pit or on the racetrack that has yet to pit. And here's the thing. He has just proven he can go the distance if this thing stays green. The question is, though, do you think that's going to pay off?
I don't think it's going to pay off because Scott Eckrich was able to catch him and pass him right there as he peeled off to come down pit road. So, with Eckrich now, we know he needs to make, at least one more pit stop, we believe, to end this race. Well, as does Jason Stewart. But Jason Stewart is literally just coming down pit road to make that one stop. So I don't think it's going to work out for him. But Jason Stewart is a gambling driver. If he catches some lucky cautions, he will be able to play that to his advantage, but might need a lucky caution or 2 before the end of this race. We just crossed over the halfway mark here in the Sim Speed Shop Wheelman Showdown, race number 1 here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series. It's race number 6 of the American Sim Racing Series Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series, but it's race number 1 at the Surf Pro Wheelman Showdown, the championship, not Surf Pro, excuse me, the Sim Speed Shop Wheelman Showdown. I jumped back to last year there.
Peter, I got one last thing before I'm going to go back and I'm going to go back to the production truck, and that is.
Am I fired?
No. You had a legit reason. And while Scott Eckrich did pass Jason Stewart, he just passed him. It's not like he was passing him for 9th. Jason Stewart was able to essentially be around the lead area when he went down pit road. So he did gain some spots, essentially, by staying out. I really don't think it's going to work, but it's not like it's looking bad for him right now. And that's it for me. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, well, we will keep an eye on that here as this race goes on. Everyone in the chat, we really thank you for joining us here tonight. We've got Madge Brown rooting on AJ Digby, Nikki Warser rooting on Will Warser Racing here in this one. Seth Olson saying, go 50 on green, 100 if it stays green. Save the last set for potential yellow in the 110 to 115 lap range. Well, Greg, we do know that these drivers have 4 sets of tires here tonight. One is the set of tires that they start the race on, and then they have 3 extra sets on pit road. So we're not really concerned about that here tonight, as this race has pretty much been green flag running throughout. So these drivers have those extra sets on pit road for if those caution flags come out as the race goes on. So we'll see if those caution flags do fly. We've seen a lot of green flag running so far this season, which is really great to see for everyone back at home. And really, I know probably the people who are most excited about that green flag running are, probably Sam Maxwell up there in the tower, as well as Mr. Jim Foose, the league owner and organizer. Those two drivers loving what they're seeing out there in the racetrack, as are we up here in the 3Y TV booth, as are you in the chat. Aunt Kathy joining us here tonight. Jim Foose saying, oh no, not math again. Yeah, we can throw that math stuff out the window. Timothy Austin in the chat as well. We really thank you guys for stopping by. Make sure to hit that like button. We're at 9 likes here tonight. And let's see if we can get that up to 12 here tonight. And yeah, we just hit 800 subscribers here on the channel. We're at 803 right now. We're just 200 away from the big 1,000, Greg. And I'm really excited to see what 1,000 subscribers will hold here on the channel.
Definitely. So if you guys are not subscribed out there right now, make sure you hit that button and ring the bell. Someone was off the pace there on pit road. But looking at that teal car right there, Tyler Seville, Peter, has worked his way up into the top 5. Very, very quietly. But Tyler Seville started 26th position. He is up into the top 5 now. Something about these mile and a halves. Tyler Seville loves these racetracks, and here he is, once again, finding his way to the front.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eyes on that number 11 of Tyler Seville. Like you said, gained 21 spots. Only Greg Evans in the number 2 machine has gained more positions. He's gained 26, but, trying to keep an eye on who pitted exactly when. Steve Yanish, he only pitted 17 laps ago in the number 23 machine. He's actually closing in right now on your race leaders, about 0.4 of a second per lap. In just about 17 to 27 laps, that's kind of where your top 5, that's the last time your top 5 was on pit road, kind of in that window. Steve Yanish is running a 32.295. His best lap here tonight, 30.8. So about 1.5 seconds of fall off after 18 laps. Meanwhile, Scott Eckrich, his best lap here tonight, a 30.6. In fact, the fastest lap in the entire field here tonight. He's fallen off 2 seconds off that number. He's been out there now for about 25 laps. So big drop off here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. We talked about that in the pre-race show, that this is the oldest surface. And it's such a gritty surface that it really eats through the tires. Very slick, however. I mean, it's kind of, you wouldn't quite think that a racetrack as abrasive as this one, I should say, is just so bad on those Goodyear tires. But it is here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And we're seeing that fall off, and it's going to be something we'll keep an eye on as the race goes on. Always makes it fun, because even though we have drivers out there on similar strategies, maybe only 10 laps different, some car that's going to be a visible difference on some cars.
And that definitely is also going to play in the hand in how this race comes to a conclusion with these differing pit strategies. Peter, looking at the top 10 right now, you got the top 5 there, or all 5 of the top 5 drivers started in the top 5, but every driver in the rest of the top 10 started well outside the top 10, including Greg Evans, our defending champion, 33 position number 33, excuse me. I got a little tongue-tied there, lost my train of thought. Tyler Seville up in 26th starting spot, up to 5th right now. Adam Jersky, he's plus 10 in the number 69. Beef Jersky's Cheesecake and Beef Jersky Emporium.
I was just going to say, Greg, one of those other Beef Jersky's Cheesecakes machines, the number 27 of Jordan Harnish, one of the drivers who got nabbed with a penalty on pit road. In fact, there are quite a few of them. Tim Knott, Michael Krobach, of course, we saw what happened there to Krobach. Danny Gutierrez, that's not good for Danny. He's currently running down there in 32nd. Remember, he comes into tonight pretty much on the bubble for 20th place in points. That guarantees him a locked-in spot for next week's event. Woody Mahan, also very lengthy pit stop. Mark Myers, AJ Digby, Troy Haight, Richard Fletcher. Those last 4 that I mentioned, Myers, Digby, Haight, and Fletcher, they might not have had a speeding penalty, but they definitely had a longer pit stop. Same thing with Grant Brown, Gary Reynolds Jr., Todd Kirkwood. Just a couple seconds slower than some of the fast guys, probably fixing some right side damage if I would fathom anything. So Definitely some longer pit stops, and that definitely will come back to haunt a couple of these drivers. Brett McBride in the number 15 machine. Remember, Greg, we saw him earlier in the race up there at the front of the field. He is now being scored in the 29th spot in his Chevy Camaro. There he is, right in front of the number 7 of Blatel. Those cars, they're running for position in 29th and 30th. Oh, we got a car around on the backstretch. Couldn't quite see who it was. Getting word it might have been Todd Kirkwood in the number 86 machine, the jerky Lodge Toyota Camry. Let's see if we can dial up and see what happened to that car here on the 3 wide TV replay, Greg.
Coming off of turn number 2, that's Jersky right behind him. Oh, just broke loose. Ooh, did Jersky get a piece of that? I don't believe so, as he pounded the inside wall. Saw a couple cars do that in practice as well, Peter. So Kirkwood, he just says, you know what? Nope, that's enough for me, as he calls the tow truck. But we stay green still. By the way, we're inside of 50 laps to go now, as we still have Eckrich up in front. But I don't think the rest of this field has had their last word yet. I think we're setting up for a very exciting finish here. Another car on pit road right now. I believe it may be the 84 of Mahan coming down pit road.
Yeah, Mahan, we mentioned earlier in the race how good looking that race car is, but he's going to come down to his pit crew. Some right side damage on Mahan's number 84. Had a great start to the race. We'll see how everything pans out here, as we believe this will be his final pit stop here. With just 47 laps to go, these laps clicking off pretty darn quick here tonight at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. We do have some side-by-side battling going on around the racetrack. That's the number 51 machine, Mark Cohn, the Pink Panther, as you called it earlier there, Greg. He just got passed for position by Jonathan Cadell in that number 96 machine. Steel Horse Live himself on Twitch. You can go check out Jonathan Cadell on twitch.tv / Steel Horse Live, and you catch up with his run here in the American Sim Racing Series Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series. Oh, we got a car around on the backstretch. Similar deal, Adam Blatel, the number 7 machine. We were just talking about him a minute ago, and he has left the racetrack. No caution. We stay green. It was off the racing surface. I think this is going to be a repeat of what we saw just a couple laps ago. Gets high coming out of turn number 4, gets into that wall and loses the back end. And slam bam into the inside wall, turned into a little bit of a Beyblade. And yeah, you can see that engine smoking. That will be day done for Blatel. He's already left the racetrack, and we stay green with all that action going on back there. I think we could get maybe a camera or something back there, maybe a gopher cam or something, and we'll see quite a bit of action here tonight, Greg.
Well, here's the thing, though, Peter. The reason that neither of these have triggered a caution, all the action there happened below the racing surface, below that white line. Oh, Mark Cohn, the Pink Panther, we talked about him just a moment ago. He hits the wall on pit road. There's Yanish. No, he missed this pit stall, excuse me. It looked like, from my vantage point, that he just scraped the wall just a little bit. Adam Platel has climbed back into his car, but is not yet back out on the racetrack. But going back to what my point was there, it was below that white line. So anything below that white line you see on the bottom does not trigger a caution. And all the spinning, all the smoking, all the whatever was all below that line. So we were able to stay green.
Yep, and green we have been since the start of the race here tonight. Scott Eckrich right now up to about a 7-second lead over the number 94 machine of Corey Silva as these laps continue to click away. Your race leader Eckrich has been out there on the racetrack now for about 37 laps. We'll see when he elects to come down pit road for his final time here tonight at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And there comes, I think that's Avila coming down pit. No, excuse me, that's Michael Whiting. Very similar paint scheme on the 44 and the number 63 machine. Now we got, I believe that's Troy Haight peeling off onto pit road as well, coming down to have his pit crew service the car with just about 42 laps remaining here tonight. There is Avila and that number 63 machine. Not Brookside Equipment Sales on that race car, but he does have that Tampa SUV Rentals.com number 23 right alongside of him. That's Steve Yenish. And Yenish here trying to pick up that spot.
Yenish doing a spectacular job in the 23. Been strong all day long. These are teammates battling it out right now for the 3rd position. And Avila, how about this for the 63 car? Has been very strong today. Fastest in practice, set the pole, led the first 22 laps of this race, and here he is, still battling up there in the top 5 with his teammate right now. Been a very, very impressive run for that 63, also out of the Yenish Bros Racing stable.
Yeah, Avila has been quick. You're absolutely right. And trying to take that Midwest Simulations Pole Award earlier and convert it into a podium finish here tonight. Maybe can do a little bit better, but currently, as you can see there on the left-hand side of your screen, about 7.5 seconds behind your race leader. Now, Corey Silva, over the last couple of laps, has actually been a little bit faster than Eckrich up at the front, but Eckrich just holding on to a very commanding lead at this point in the Sim Speed Shop Wheelman Showdown race number 1 here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, 200 miles here tonight. There you can see just how much Silva has been closing in on Eckrich, just about a 10th per lap on average. He'd need about 70 laps left in the race, but we still have that final pit stop where you and I know, Greg, getting onto pit road here at Atlanta Motor Speedway is easier said than done, as Avila has a big wiggle.
Yeah, that's what I was watching off of turn number 2 there. That's why I kind of was like, oh boy, because Avila had to make one heck of a save. And because Yenish and Mahan back there had to check up, neither of them were able to get around him. Watch that save right there. Unbelievable save by Avila in the 63. That could have been a repeat of what we saw with a couple of cars earlier, Kirkwood and Blattell. By the way, Kirkwood has loaded it up on the hauler as well. Blattell is still here, but several laps down out of the running. But they're all chasing that man, looking for his series-leading, tying 3rd win of the season. A win tonight would tie him with Greg Evans with 3, and they would have split the first 6. Very, very contrary to what we've seen in the real life, boys, on Sunday nights, but that is by no means an implication of how the season has gone. This has been a very, very competitive season thus far.
We got a question in the chat from Seth Olson about Greg Evans. Is he the biggest mover of the race? Well, the answer is yes. Now you said 25 or 26. Well, now it's 27. He just made the pass there on the number 69, Beef Jerseys Cheesecakes Emporium.
Second place, Silva. Sorry, Peter. 2nd and 3rd. Silva and Avila coming down pit road for what we assume to be their final stops under green.
Yeah, so they'll come down to their pit crew. Hopefully they can get into their pit box. We've seen a couple of these drivers struggle for that issue. Here comes Silva, keeping an eye on him, and Silva hit his marks well. Did Avila hit his marks? Yes, he did. Slid into his pit box very spectacularly in that number 63 machine, to be honest with you, but got it on the mark. So that's the good news for Avila. Hopefully they can get a good pit stop, get him back out there on the racetrack. Now we'll keep our eyes on when will your race leader come down pit road. Doug Mullins joining the pit road group. Steve Yenish in the number 23 coming down pit road. So he was up there near the front of the pack. So he'll come visit his crew, get 4 fresh Goodyear tires for the end of the race. We got some cars headed back out into the racetrack. And oh, here comes Eckrich, your race leader on pit road, Greg.
Ooh, he had to lock him up just a little bit in the 70. That's going to allow Tyler Seville to take the lead. He's staying out to lead the lap. So Tyler Seville for Will Worsler Racing. Talked about him creeping up through the field. He does lead the lap by 0.2 of a second. Tyler Seville gets credit for a lap led. And this will move the defending champion up into the 2nd spot, Greg Evans. In the battle, though, with Adam Jersky right now. As you see things beginning to settle it down, there is the battle for 5th going on between McKee, Yazik, and George. All 3 of these cars are for position right now, Peter.
Yeah, and we got a couple of drivers who made the Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series playoffs last year in the number 8 and the number 55 machine. So we'll keep our eyes on the 8 and the 55. Yazik there, we hyped him up early in the race, saying we know he's fast enough to get to victory lane. He just needs that opportunity to do so. Will Worsler, the number 29 machine, currently atop the board, but Thomas George there sitting around in that now 7th position. Trying to see if we had anyone else come down pit road. Doesn't look like. Johnny Avila in the number 63 machine just turned the fastest lap of the race. We've got a spinner on the backstretch. Car in the wall on the backstretch. It's Steve Yenish, one of your front runners here tonight in the Tampa SUV Rentals.com 23 machine. Hard into the inside wall. No caution. He gets it back rolling, but significant damage to his Toyota Camry, and he is well off the pace right now.
That's going to spell the end of his night, Peter. If you take a look at the 3Y TV replay, and once again, it all happened below that white line, and Yenish up to not a whole lot of speed. Watch off here, just like what we saw in the earlier incidents, and he pounds that wall. That's a heartbreaker, and that's going to be a tough pill to swallow for Steve Yenish. The numbers don't lie, and this spells disaster for Steve Yenish here at Atlanta.
Yeah, and he's just trying to get up to speed in that 23 machine. I'm not seeing him really stay out here on the racetrack all too long. We'll see if the American Sim Racing Series race officials bring him down pit road, not able to maintain race speed. Adam Jersky, the number 69 machine, he has come down pit road for what will be his final pit stop. Here comes the 11 of Tyler Seville coming down to his pit crew. He's had enough. But now I think the big question is going to be, how many gamblers are we going to have? How many gamblers are we going to see try and stay out here tonight and hope to see that yellow flag? Hope to see one of those cars that spins out of turn number 2 comes back up on the racetrack. Currently, the car that was leading prior to that last round of pit stops, Scott Eckrich, is being scored in the 14th position. That will continue to update. Now he's up to the 8th position, just like that. So, these drivers start to come down pit road, but they get a caution. They could luck into a really good spot. They're just trying to stay out there for as long as they can as we stay green flag here tonight, Atlanta Motor Speedway. And remember, Greg, the caution bounty.
We're inside 30 to go. I'm checking in now with the Stu in the number 1, the Dirty Bird, Jason Stewart. As we were watching him, as he was the one driver who was able to make it to lap 65, him and Brian Yazik. And Stewart is about to get passed right now by Eckrich on those fresh tires. So that strategy is officially out the window with this pass right there. He was in. Let's see where he finishes. He was 18th when he started. We'll see where Stewart comes home at the end of it right now. Got to hang on for less than 30 more laps as he is trying to hold on. By the way, Jeff Yenish up in the top 10 right now in the number 89. The brother of Steve Yenish. Been a quiet night for Jeff. There he is in the 89. We've seen so much out of his brother Steve. We haven't really gotten a chance to talk about Jeff, though, thus far. He started 29th. He's climbed his way up in the 7th on pit strategy right now. So Jeff Yenish still carrying the flag for Yenish Bros Racing. How about Jonathan Cadell up in 3rd right now, Peter?
Yeah, Cadell gave an extremely enthusiastic interview last week, finishing on the podium at the Phoenix. Definitely an awesome interview. I'm gonna see if I can figure out, see if I can jump on his Twitch channel here and quickly see what's going on with his Twitch channel. See what the Natty Light counter is at here tonight around Atlanta Motor Speed. It's only at 2 here tonight. That's a little bit low. We'll see whether or not that stays at 2 by the end of the night. But you can see right there on the screen and enjoying one in the picture there on the bottom of the screen. Great looking number 96. Now he's one of those drivers here, Greg, who is yet to pit. And let's kind of, for those drivers or those people in the chat just now joining us here on 3Y TV, Thomas George, Brian Yazik, Jonathan Cadell, Evan Black, your top 4 drivers have yet to make their second pit stop. Scott Eckrich currently riding in 5th. He has made his second pit stop. We know he's good to the end on fuel. Jason Stewart in 6th, Jeff Yenish in 7th, Nick Gardner also inside the top 10. Those drivers, only 1 pit stop so far, Greg.
I'm surprised on Gardner as well. He was one of the first ones on the pit road to that first cycle in the number 16. Kind of got the colleague racing vibe on that number 16 right now. In 10th right now, again, another driver having a quiet night. There he is coming off of turn number 2. Quiet night, but here he is up in the top 10 late, trying to hold on and see how it unshakes for him. I don't know if it's going to be a winning night for him yet, but we'll see how it unfolds for the 16.
Yeah, as wow, the number 29 machine, Will Warser, there getting by the number 55 of Yazik. Yazik right behind the number 88 machine. Thomas George is the race leader. Man, was that 3 wide there going off into turn number 3? I believe it was. Some of the drivers on the fresher tires slicing their way through, who is currently your race leader, George and Yazik. We got one car peeling off a little bit further back. Was that I'm trying to see who that might have been. I think it was Danny Gutierrez, Jordan Harnish, Tim Knott, all coming down pit road. I think we have some other drivers with pit road speeding penalties update all of you folks on. Alan Young, the number 24 machine, had his season turn around last week at Phoenix, but seemed to go awry here with a pit road speeding penalty just 4 laps ago. Kevin Stone and the number 17 machine, also speeding penalty on the number 17. Michael Krobach, of course, he had that big one a little while ago. Trying to see if there are any others. It looks like it's just under this current round of pit stop, just Kevin Stone and Alan Young. We'll see if that continues as the field continues to cycle down pit road, but just 22 laps to go as your leaders will go across the start finish line. But keep an eye out for the number 70 machine, Scott Eckridge, because Greg, he's closing in on your race leaders.
It's about half a second right now between first and second being Thomas George and Brian Yazik, and then Scott Eckridge was able to shave 0.8 off. It's now down to a second and a half. You see the gap closing right now. On board with Eckridge is closing in. You can see second place, the 55 of Yazik. We've been singing Pink Panther all night long, but for Scott Eckridge, the Jaws music is on full blast right now.
Yeah, really, the number 55 machine of Yazik and the 88 of George, they're hoping to see a caution flag, like right now. Right now would be the best time for them to see a caution flag. They can come down, get some 4 fresh Goodyear tires, but they are still going to stay out. They're just hoping, crossing their fingers for a yellow flag to drop to get some of that track position, but Eckridge has all but caught them here, and I believe he'll just make a move to the inside of Yazik unless Yazik can defend that inside line. No, he cannot. He just rolls up high. Eckridge now to second, race leader in his sights in front of him. Eckridge has led a ton of laps here tonight, just like what happened last week, Greg, at Phoenix. That number 70 of Eckridge here, all the momentum in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series as he dives to the inside of Thomas George and retakes the race lead.
And late in the going, he takes the race lead. And Peter, I think by now it's too late for these guys who have yet to come down. 18 laps to make up over a lap here on this racetrack under green. I think it's too late for these guys right now.
And you know what? If you're Scott Eckridge, you're the race leader. There's 18 laps to go. The only car that's kind of on the same cycle. In fact, there's no car on the same pit sequence as Scott Eckridge inside the top 5. Corey Silva's the first one who pitted 18 laps ago. He's running in 6th. He's 8 seconds behind the number 70 right now. So Eckridge here can really set sail. The cars that are around him on the racetrack have older tires. He's going to put the number 51 here, Mark Cohn, 1 lap down in the Pink Panther machine. So Mark Cohn, great to have him back here on 3YTV. Typically see him in the chat over the first couple of races here this season as the DMLC Racing channel. But you see that Pink Panther machine here, they're going down the backstretch. Now he's hoping to see a yellow flag to get that lucky dog there, Greg. Well, we'll see
that,
if we can
of course,
dial up.
Peter,
Go ahead.
Sorry, Peter. Had a little bit of mic issue on my end. That, of course, depends on if we stay green or not with that lucky dog, though. But I gotta say, though, we've talked about it a couple times, and Aunt Kathy, she's watching home. She knows me and pink race cars. She knows that a pink race car is very special to me in real life. So I gotta say, I love seeing that Pink Panther paint scheme on Mark Cohn.
Oh man, we almost stacked him up in turn number 2. Evan Black, Grant Brown, Tim Knott, Michael Whiting, just pretty much all 4 cards were going for the same bit of racetrack, and they were able to sort things out. You can see that the 00 there, Grant Brown on the fresher tires, Tim Knott, Evan Black, Michael Whiting on a little bit older rubber, and they just kind of, they were all moving towards one another. I thought we might have that first caution flag here tonight, but we haven't seen it. Just 15 laps to go here at the 1.5 mile Atlanta Motor Speedway, race number 1 of the Sim Speed Shop Wheelman Showdown. And there is your points leader coming into tonight, Greg Evans. I'm sure he's thinking, though, about the number 70, Scott Eckridge, up at the front of the field, possibly tying his 3 race wins on the season here in the first 6 races.
And how impressive is that for Eckridge, a rookie in the series? Well, shouldn't say that, but he has definitely shown a lot of speed here in the number 70. Thomas George, of course, in second, though, the pole sitter at Daytona. But how about it for Scott Eckridge in that number 70? So strong here to start the season off. 2 wins already, and now lurking and looking like it's going to be win number 3 to, again, tie Greg Evans. Despite the fact of how competitive it's been, as far as victory lane goes, it's been a tale of 2 drivers here so far, Eckridge and Evans. And it's going to take something very bizarre happening in order for Eckridge to have this one taken away. But boy, I thought for a moment there that could have gotten a little hairy, but Eckridge doing a nice job checking up there with Fletcher.
Yeah, man, if you're Scott Eckridge right now, we got 1 car in the grass. Is that AJ Digby? It is AJ Digby, the number 14 machine going through the grass. The High Flow Industrial and Environmental Services Chevrolet. We'll see what happened here. Did he just get loose coming out of turn number 4? Doesn't look like there's any cars around him. Oh, yeah, he clipped the wall there and shot him down there into the grass. We've heard about the pass in the grass, but that's not how you do it, AJ. He's currently being scored in the 16th position or so, back behind Jimmy McKee. He'll be a little ways back to Nick Curling, who's running in the 17th position to try and pick up that spot from AJ Digby. So we'll watch that battle. Meanwhile, we watch the number 27 machine up there. And Jordan Harnish, this is not the first time we've said this season, Greg, that he doesn't seem to be having the finishes that he deserves. Having pit road troubles here tonight, 33rd position. Not what Harnish is looking for. He's had a lot of pace. He just needs to start to put these races together. Be patient getting to pit road.
And no doubt that's going to come with experience this year. Come with seat time. I mean, you can see it right now. Look how strong he is right now as he bobbles and still is able to make a pass there. Unfortunately, not for position. He's the only driver being scored on his lap right now. So definitely another disappointing end to the race for Jordan Harnish. But I'm telling you, once he gets it settled down and he starts getting the finishes that he deserves, that 27 car is going to be a threat week in and week out before the end of the season. But Peter, we are in the closing stages of this one now.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm starting to think that maybe no one's going to catch George, Yazik, and Cadell for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We'll have to wait and see. Corey Silva in the number 94 machine, he has caught, he's actually caught Jonathan Cadell for that 4th position as Silva all over the back bumper. Silva has significantly fresher tires as he drops to the inside of Cadell here coming out of turn number 2. In fact, for all you folks at home, that's about 29 lap fresher tires on Corey Silva's number 94 machine. You see Cadell there running that kind of defensive middle groove, but Silva going to get a good run through the center of turn number 3 and 4, side by side here down the front stretch. And I believe those 29 lap fresher tires will prevail here going off into turn number 1. But we've seen stranger things happen here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So you also see the car right behind Corey Silva. That's Michael Larch, currently running in the 20th position, 1 lap down.
As the laps wind down, I'm with you, Peter. It's about 5 seconds now from Silva to the next car of Brian Yazik. Even with those fresher tires, I don't see it happening here in just 7 laps. I think this strategy of trying to make it to the end is going to work out at big time here for Thomas George and Brian Yazik. Not going to put him in victory lane, but look at that. A couple of top 5s for them. This may pay off. Jason Stewart, by the way, is in 10th right now. Remember, he made it 67 laps on that first run. He is in 10th right now, about a second over Jeff Yenish right now. So Jason Stewart may be able to hold on for a top 10 here. And remember, he was 18th when that pit stop cycle started. So it's going to pay off a little bit for Stewart. Definitely not the win he wanted, but it will definitely help him improve his position. But we got a side-by-side battle for second here in the closing stages.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that. Thomas George there on the high line, Yazik on the inside line. These drivers on about 60 lap old rubber here as they blast their way down the backstretch. Now, I don't think you'd be able to do this type of side-by-side battling with the old iRacing Atlanta. Of course, this was one of those racetracks that iRacing recently tweaked a little bit to try and give some more side-by-side action and also give a little bit more grip. 5 laps to go here as they go across the start-finish line, but Yazek seems like he's going to duck back in line, at least for now, see if he can mount another assault on that second spot. But a great run here for Thomas George. We've seen pace out of the number 88 machine here in his races, here in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series, but it just doesn't seem to ever quite come off for him. But here tonight, a great run around this 1.5 mile racetrack, just hoping to see the checkered flag and really hoping that he and Yazek don't get side by side all too much to allow Corey Silva to close in. But as I watch that gap, it's still about 4 seconds. Silva just not closing enough. So this will presumably be the battle for second as these laps continue to tick away. It'll be 3 laps to go this time by here at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Boy, how big is this going to be for Thomas George to get a second here if he can hold on over Brian Yazek? To get a podium period will be big, but if he can hold on in a battle with a guy who was in the playoffs last year, who had such a strong run at the end of the season, but here he comes once again, Brian Yazek to the inside. Not going to be this time. Thomas George locked in a battle regardless of how this battle turns out. This is going to be a great night for Thomas George, and a night he can hang his hat on and a night to build on moving forward for the rest of the season, as that it just looks so strong on corner exit right there as Yazek again falls in line right now. But they're all chasing the 70 of Scott Eckridge right now, who is coming down the line. Just 2 laps to go, 3 more miles around Atlanta, and Peter Eckridge looking very, very pretty right now for win number 3.
Yeah, that number 70, 7-second race lead right now over Thomas George. Just another dominating performance, much like what we had last week at Phoenix. I know he was excited to come here to Atlanta Motor Speedway, but I didn't expect him to be just so far out in front of the field at the end of this race. Really speaks volumes of the fact that he's won on the 2-mile Auto Club Speedway. He won last week on the mile Phoenix Raceway, and now here tonight, Atlanta Motor Speedway, the 1.5 mile. We're side by side for second as we continue to watch your race leader. I got my eyes on the battle for second. Eckridge now halfway down the back here. Greg looking to pick up win number 3 and trying to close in on Greg Evans for the points lead.
Well, break out the checkbook, Sam Maxwell, because this race has gone caution-free as we come off turn number 4. Win number 3, Scott Eckridge ties Greg Evans for the lead. Caution-free in Atlanta. The battle for second will come down to the stripe. Give it to George. He holds on over Yazek for second. Yazek comes home third. Silva and Avila round out the top 5.
And you know what, Greg? I've mentioned here tonight how important it was for Danny Gutierrez to have a good night. Well, Danny Gutierrez is going to finish well down the order here tonight, 24th. Meanwhile, Thomas George, he also had to have a good night here tonight. Why? He was 21st place in points coming into tonight, 1 spot behind that cutoff number to automatically get yourself locked into the show. With this finish, he will undoubtedly move into the top 20. So Thomas George will have a locked-in position next week for the American Sim Racing Series, Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series. Definitely going to be something that, you know what, he can be kind of proud of when we get to the Dirty Word Sim Racing Texas 250 next week. Doing a little bit of Texas 2-stepping. As that number 70, Greg, not the first time he's done one of these burnouts this season. They always leave me impressed.
I'd say, yeah, this is my first time seeing it, as both times he's been in victory lane. I unfortunately have not been on the call, and here he is burning it down. This is my first time seeing him. Yeah, this is very impressive that he's able to pull this off. Nicely done, though, by Scott Eckridge, and what a dominating performance. And he blows the motor at the end.
And he did that last week, too, at Phoenix. I'm wondering if there's something in that motor he doesn't want those iRacing officials looking at. Seems like he always blows the motor when it is all said and done. But wow, what a great race for the number 70 machine. Going to park it in his pit box backwards. That's one way to do it. The best way to get into your pit box is backwards after the race. Let your pit crew celebrate with you. Good way to do it. Well, folks, You see those finishing results there on your screen. We're going to dial up some post-race interviews for you right here on the channel. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, folks, welcome back to the Atlanta Motor Speedway race number 1 of the SIP Speed Shop Wheelman Showdown here has come to its conclusion. Race number 6 of the Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series as well. I have caught up with tonight's third place finisher, the number 55 HPPSimulations.com Ford of Brian Yazik. Brian, a little bit of a different strategy than what we saw out of the race winner, Scott Eckrich, but it definitely worked out for you. Not the best start to the race, but definitely pretty solid all night long for the number 55 machine. Walk us through it.
Yeah, Peter, I mean, the race kind of started out, and I knew it was going to be rough with these guys trying to chew off the right rear tire the way that you had to drive it to make it turn. So once we got into the run, I just kind of paid attention to the pace around me and kind of noticed where it plateaued off from a lap time standpoint. So I knew if I could just survive to, I think it was somewhere in 35, 38, somewhere in that ballpark, it would be all right. And once I started looking there with it got to halfway, I said, okay, well, there's a couple of us out here that are brave to try it. So, I can't believe it worked.
Yeah, it definitely worked out well for you. What was kind of going through your mind there with about 15, 20 laps to go? Because you kind of were going through that transition period. You mentioned the plateau. You had other drivers kind of starting to plateau on time relative to yours. You had other drivers on very fresh tires, zipping around you. How difficult is it to manage those situations out there in the racetrack, kind of the traffic situations? You see that on multi-class road course racing, but here, you got a lot going through your head. You got a lot of things trying to keep track of the cars around you, both for position and just relative to you on the racetrack.
Yeah, a lot of that, a lot of it's just kind of paying attention to what's around you. I mean, I'm looking around at, looking at the relative and kind of seeing who's around me. And if I'm noticing someone that was in front of me is now a lap down or in red behind me, I know that they're on tires. And a lot of it is just kind of holding a steady lane and a steady wheel. I mean, you can't get, too super crazy trying to get everything together. But it gets hairy, it gets fun. But at the end of the day, bringing it back here in that number 55 Loud Pedal Motorsports machine, into the third spot. First top 5 of the year, I'll take that. Good points night. Just kind of building some momentum here for getting going in the summer.
Yeah, of course, Las Vegas with your pit strategy didn't go to plan. Daytona, well, you threw that one out the window there pretty early on. But beyond those 2 races, your worst finish is 7th at Auto Club, finished 6th at Homestead, 6th at Phoenix, and now 3rd place here tonight. Looking at another run towards that Hacksaw PC's playoffs later on in the season.
Yeah, we're trying, Peter. I mean, there's a lot of competition here this year in ASRS, and so it kind of makes it a little tricky week to week. But a lot of it that I learned last year is just kind of really focusing on your race and your point situation, because there's really not a whole lot you can kind of control around it. So. For us, it's just consistency. I've never been a big go out and get the pole sort of person. I've, not usually the flashy one to jump out front, but we kind of keep chipping away at these finishes, and kind of build up that points cushion. A win down the road, really kind of cements the deal and try to earn bonus points and keep ourselves real high up there in points. Could be a couple winners. There are a lot of winners this year once it gets through the road courses, some of the plate tracks. So you really got to be in a spot to where you can't have those wild card situations knock you out. So that's where we like finishing happy and knowing where we could put the car. No sense throwing away a sixth to trying to get a third. So that's how we just kind of focus on this year.
Yeah, really quickly. Next week we go to another 1.5 mile racetrack, Texas Motor Speedway. What are your thoughts about the track in Denton County?
I like it. I mean, the old track, new track. I kind of like how you have to hook the bottom now. 3 and 4 with the way that the way it's set up now. Managing the right rear tire is big. I mean, you were watching guys get loose out of 2, pretty much all night, 2 out of 4, and Texas, you really burn off that right rear trying to flat foot it, through the corner. You're going to pay for it at the end. So if we get some long green runs, I'm sure this 55 will be towards the sharp end of the field, but we just got to see when we get there.
Absolutely. Before we let you go, as always, Brian, any shout outs?
Shout out to my wife for handling our 1-month-old right now. Loud pedal motorsport at Apex. Midwest Simulations with their Spotlight system. It's the one of the best utility or best tools that you can get on sim racing apps for that, mapping out my fuel strategy for me all night. Long time partners with Loud Pedal Motorsports and graphics and Splash and Go graphics and Maverick. We got a lot of partners that we've been fortunate to have and stay with us. So it's a lot of fun to kind of churn through the season, and we got some stuff planned for the year that might shake up the look here at the 55, but we got some really cool plans as the year rolls on, so pay attention for that.
All right, well, Brian, best of luck next week, Texas Motor Speedway. We'll see you there.
See you later.
All right, well, let's see if we can roll down pit road, see if we can pick up tonight's second place finisher, also on the same pit strategy as the number 55 machine of Brian Yazik. That, of course, is Thomas George. And Thomas, you haven't had great finishes this year. Of course, you started off the season with a runner-up at Daytona, but since then, hasn't exactly gone to plan. Getting things back going in the right direction here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. You needed a good points night to get back into the top 20 in points, and sure enough, you got it. Tell us about it.
Well, I didn't get dumped / caught other people's wrecks, so that was the first thing. And then it was the second thing. Yeah, I do pretty well in Atlanta, I feel like, and I kind of wish Scott had gotten a pit road penalty there. Could have maybe snuck in a win, but I'll take second after the last 4 months, I guess. We kind of got it back on track anyway. Well, I don't want to say we got it back on track at Phoenix, finishing 12th after getting dumped twice. So I felt that was a good turning point to say, it's like, okay, we can come back from that and finish 12th. I think we can, the car, I know I can drive the car pretty well. Or not, I don't know. I'm kind of tired right now, so I'm just kind of like all over the place. That race was exhausting.
Yeah, 130 laps here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It looked fairly slippery out there. And of course, with that tire wear and the tire fall off about 2 to 2.5 seconds over a run, that is exhausting because you probably had a lot of permutations and calculations going through your head there while other cars were blasting around you on fresh tires. How are you able to kind of hold on to that number 88 machine and get to second?
The calculation didn't come in until I think my teammate there, Mr. Jonathan Cadell, mentioned that we could go 65 laps on fuel. And learning lessons I've had from Auto Club over the years, if you can do a one-stop strategy and you're up front, you've got a pretty good chance of winning. And my thought process on getting to second was, well, trying to get the win anyway, was to, if I did one-stop strategy, I got an extra set of tires in the bank, so I don't have to worry about that. But I also figure, okay, well, you're going to have 20 laps to kind of push it as hard as you can before the tires kind of equalize. And for the most part, I was proven correct. I think the 94 finished, 4th or 5th, but 3 seconds behind me at the end there. So the biggest thing for me was I got caught behind my teammate Rhett and Brian Yazik racing for 5th back there, which in these cars, it's death. There's just not enough horsepower for you to kind of get back up and make up any time. So that's on me for qualifying 12th. I got to get better at qualifying and starting up front. But after the start to the season and then the mishaps we've had, I'll take a 2nd place for tonight and then hopefully improve that on Texas.
Yeah, speaking of Texas Motor Speedway, that of course is next week. What are your thoughts about Texas? Do you enjoy the reconfiguration of the racetrack?
Hell no.
That's a great way to put it.
I don't want to criticize anybody. I don't want to make anybody mad, but that configuration of Texas, I don't know who thought that was a good idea, because it's not been a good race for in real life or on iRacing. And I've heard people in BFix, I think it's at BFix this week, they don't like it either. We're just going to go there and do the best we can. I know I'm good at mile and a halves, but I've not been able to figure out that new configuration. So we'll just take it one lap at a time and see if we can pull off an upset win as far as I'm concerned there. But we'll see what we can do.
All right, well, we'll be keeping an eye on you next week at Texas Motor Speedway for the Dirty Bird Sim Racing Texas 250. But before we let you go, any shout-outs there, Thomas?
All my teammates over at Steel Horse all fished top 10 except for Rhett, and he had a good car tonight. So just unfortunately, the wall got him. Thank Greg for paying this car and allowing him to, or asking Freightliner and Detroit Demand Performance to come on board for this race this week. It's a beautiful car. Love the burnt orange on it. May run it again next week. I'm not sure yet. I kind of like to save this for special occasions, and all the admins, all the hard work they do, and you guys are putting on the broadcast.
Well, I'll tell you what, got Freightliner, Detroit Diesel on that number 88 machine, runner-up here tonight. Definitely great way to get your season back on track. We'll watch you work your way around the mile and a half next week at Texas. Best of luck there, Thomas.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our 2nd place interview. And now let's head down to Victory Lane, where Scott Eckridge has picked up his 3rd win of the season in that AMSOIL Chevrolet. And I'll tell you what, Scott, you had other drivers around you do the 1-stop. You made the 2-stop strategy work. Lights out once again here tonight with the number 70 leading the most laps like you did last week at Phoenix. 2 in a row. Can you make it 3 in a row next week at Texas?
I hope so. I bet that would be nice.
I'll tell you what, just a fantastic race here tonight. I've kind of talked to the 55 of Yazik, mentioned the fact that he was on the older tires and dealing with a lot of faster traffic around him. Well, you're on the flip side. You came down, you got those fresh tires there with about 30, 40 laps to go, but then you were the fast car, the one passing those cars on old tires. How do you deal with that traffic to get as much track position, as much time gained as possible?
Yeah, I mean, you try to look at the people in front of you and see where they're running and try to pick where they aren't. But to be honest with you, it's just, you just got to hope nothing goes wrong. Because at those closing speeds, if they just, if you both pick the same spot, 3 seconds faster a lap, it's going to be bad news. So it's just, you really just got to try going where they're not on the track and just get through the traffic and try to find that gap where you could start, getting some lap time down. And the person that finds the most of them lap time laps is obviously gonna pull away. So,
well, I'll tell you what, just once again, a stellar job here tonight at Atlanta Motor Speedway, with Texas looming next week. We've heard mixed opinions of Texas Motor Speedway. Yazik is a fan. Thomas George is not a fan. What about you?
It's a mixed bag for me. A few years back, I used to be real good there, but kind of lost a little bit of it. So I guess we're hoping to rekindle it.
Well, definitely going to be an interesting one. Looking for 3 wins in a row at the Texas Motor Speedway. That is going to be the big story. Scott, great run here tonight. Before we let you go, any shout outs?
Yeah, just like to shout out Mark with my team owner from Graphics LC Motorsports. He made his first start tonight. I was glad to see him on track, and hoping we can build the team going forward. But and then you got LPM for putting up that test session early on, which was really helpful to kind of figure out what lines to run. And it's kind of where we found that the bottom feeding was doing a pretty good job on saving tires in long run speed. So definitely super valuable from those guys.
Absolutely. Great run here tonight at Atlanta Motor Speedway. We'll see you again next week at Texas Motor Speedway, and best of luck there.
Thank you. Hopefully we can meet the same way.
Alrighty, well, that's going to do it for our post-race interview with Mr. Scott Eckrich, winner for the third time this season in the Amsoil Chevrolet, with, once again, another spectacular burnout here on the front stretch. Let's see if we can go through tonight's finishing order here for what was race number 1 of the Sim Speed Shop Wheelman Showdown. Great to have them on board, folks. If you haven't already checked them out, make sure you check them out because they have a great variety of sim racing products. Everything from steering wheels to button boxes to some of those speed buttons that you can put on your wheel, to dashboards for mounting wheel setups, to really, really cool. Make sure you check out our friends over at Sim Speed Shop. But Scott Eckrich taking home the win. Thomas George finishing in second. Brian Yazik in third. Corey Silva not quite able to catch second and third. Corey Silva made 2 pit stops, while George and Yazik only made 1 in this race. Johnny Avila, very, very fast, started on the Midwest Simulations pole at the beginning of the race, finishing in 5th. Tyler Seville, 6th. Greg Evans in 7th. Jonathan Cadell, Steel Horse Live himself there, finishing in 8th. Evan Black finishing in 9th. Jason Stewart in 10th. Jeff Yenish, Doug Mullins, Adam Jersky, Will Warser there finishing in the 14th position. Definitely not the night that Will Warser was looking for. Jimmy McKee, 15th. Nick Curling, AJ Digby, 16th, 17th. John Eckhart, 18th. Mark Cohn, Michael Larch in the 20th spot. Nick Gardner, Michael Whiting, 22nd. Gary Reynolds Jr., Danny Gutierrez, 24th. Troy Haight, 25th. Grant Brown, 26th. Mark Myers, 27th. Alan Young had some pit stop woes here tonight in the 24 machine, finishing down in 28th. Woody Mahan, very fast early, had some damage on that race car, finishing in 29th. Michael Krobach, we saw his pit road mishap there, finishing in 30th. Kevin Stone, 31st. Rhett McBride, another one of those drivers, very, very fast at the top of the show, finishing down in 32nd. Jordan Harnish, same story for him, finishing 33rd. Tim Knott, 34th. Richard Fletcher in 35th. Then you had drivers who encountered trouble here tonight, especially coming out of turn number 2 and the inside wall on the backstretch. Steve Yenish, Adam Blattel, Todd Kirkwood, Jonathan Holstein, and Cody Spiker finishing 36th through 40th. 40 cars started here tonight at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Jackson Van Volkenberg down there in the number 12 machine did not start, but it was a wild race here tonight. Very, very slippery. We got to see a couple of cars at least hit the inside wall, go around, but they didn't trigger a caution. Caution free here tonight. That is going to be a really, really good penalty report come midweek, because there won't be any. That's one thing that, of course, a lot of these American Sim Racing Series drivers have to watch out for, is those penalties as the race goes on. But if you have a caution-free race, well, all of those penalties wash away. And they'll be very glad to see that after a caution-filled race last week at Phoenix Raceway. But I'm very much looking forward to my home track next week, Texas Motor Speedway, right here on 3 Wide TV, 9 o'clock Eastern next Wednesday night. You want to be here, you don't want to miss it. Dirty Bird Sim Racing Texas 250. And we should call it Texas Two-Step 50, something like that next week. Should be a fun one right here on the channel. But folks, big shout out to our friends over at Sim TV for the camera angles that we bring you each and every week here on the channel. Sim TV, they're going through some changes over there, but make sure you give them a like here on YouTube as well. But for myself, Peter Short, Greg Rentz, and Mr. Carlos Acosta, who we hope to see him get to feeling better over the next couple of days. Have a good night, stay safe, and we shall see you next week. See ya!